Welcome to this video on operating the Rexwroth control panel.
Okay, so this video is specifically about operating the Rexwroth control panel. Even more specifically, it's about the drive and the steering. So I'm just going to do a quick startup again based on the fact that we've checked all our e-stops and we know how to start the generator. So everything should start. I've switched the key on. When Jenny starts up, let it going. We'll need to come and do the e-stop reset. I've always got to do the e-stop reset. If that goes off, I know I'm good, and that does. And we'll go over to the Rexwroth board. Now, we touched on this in the last video, but I've got to have my speed off, neutral, local, working, manual, off. That should start the Rexwroth motor. Let it get going. At that point, we're ready to start driving the machine. Now at the moment, I'm just checking, but this machine is completely off the ground. So the wheels aren't on the ground, which is a good thing. We can do some driving tests without moving the machine. The reason why it's off the ground is if you look over here, you can see those blue jacks on the ground. Those jacks are what we're calling our landing gear, and they're for the purposes of adjusting the axles and adjusting the wheels and just working on the machine. So because I'm on my jacks, I know I can actually drive the machine. Key things about driving the machine. We need to be in local because we're on this board. We want to start in working, which is our slow speed. So we do have two speeds, so we have two gears. Working is low gear, travel is high gear. Working is when we're pouring concrete, travel is when we're moving the machine long distances. Within each gear, we've got our speed. So effectively that's first gear, that's second gear, and this is our accelerator. So this actually goes from 0 to 11. So this is an incremental adjustment of the speed. So if I have working, I can change the speed within the working mode. So let's just try this. In order to drive the machine, there's some delayed functions which are existence as built-in safety mechanisms. So I must be on maintenance mode, and I'll start with steering in manual. Within working mode, there's a very specific sequence here, so I have to turn the speed completely to 0, anti-clockwise. I have to be in neutral. I select forward or reverse. I'm going to select forward. I've got to count 5 long seconds. 2, 3, 4, 5, and only then can I turn the speed up. Now, a telltale is if this is working is the manual top lever will start moving. So if we go back to the speed here, if I turn, I've given it plenty of time now. Right, you can see that lever move. That is telling me that we're driving. And I'll explain that in a bit, but I can also hear the pump straining a little bit. The other telltale sign is the wheels are moving. So if we come down here, I'll just, and you can see down here, just crouch down and have a look at that, the wheels are turning. So if you look over there, to your right, there's another wheel. So they're all, and I can see underneath, all our 4 wheels are turning. Now, if we go back to the board, I can change from working to travel while driving, but it's not recommended. So we're just going to quickly go back and have a look at that wheel and take note of the speed. So if you just watch that rotating for a split second, that's full speed in work mode, which is about 4 meters per minute. So it'll travel about half the length of the machine in 60 seconds. Now we'll go over to travel mode. To do that, like a car, I'm going to go back to neutral. I have to reset my speed to 0. At this point I'm in neutral, I'm going to reselect to travel. That's step 1. I'm still in local because I'm not on the remote control. I'll just show you that so you know. We'll talk about this later, but that's the remote control. My speed's in 0. I'm going to go to forward. I'm going to wait 5 seconds. It's basically 10 seconds because most people's 5 seconds isn't long enough. So there's a timer in this. Behind this panel is basically a computer that does all this. So that's one of the safety functions. I've waited long enough. I'll try this, and I can see my lever, and that's working. Now, if we go back to the wheel, you can see that wheel's turning almost twice as fast. So that basically is a speed of almost 9 meters per minute, which means we move basically the full machine length in a minute. It's twice as fast. So that's our speed. We'll just go back to the board again. Yep. Oh, sorry, I'll mention the levers. So I did mention about the levers before. There's 5 levers. 1, 2, 3, 4 are for the steering. We'll talk about that later. The top lever, this will have a label on it. It's for the drive. So that I can see, and if you look at this, if you watch as I turn the speed down, it changes the lever. So, speed off. So when I manually drive this, the speed is directly proportional to the angle of the lever. So electronically I can do it here, and you watch the lever. It'll slowly go up. And that's full speed. And what I'm doing is that I'm turning the speed. So I'm going to go, every time I want to stop the machine, what a bad habit is people just turn the speed down to 0. We've got to put it in neutral. So I'm going to turn it in neutral. However, every time I put it in neutral, I've always got to wait 5 seconds to go again. I'm going to show you one other function, and that's reverse. We can stay in travel mode for the sake of it. We can stay in local. I've got to turn my speed off. I go into reverse. I have to wait 5 seconds because every time I go back to neutral, I've activated that mode. And what you'll notice is the lever is going this way. Because that's reverse. And if we go back to the wheel, we'll see we're in reverse. Okay, keep moving. So I'm now going to show you how to manually drive. So we haven't mentioned steering yet, we're just talking about driving. So when we're operating the machine, we don't want to be, we want to have it so that it can just drive slowly without having to hold a lever. That's why we have this automatic drive. However, sometimes if there's a breakdown or if something's not working, we always have a manual override. So I'll show you that. I'll take my speed down, I'll put myself in neutral, and you watch the lever. As soon as I hit neutral, the lever goes back to neutral. It is in the neutral mode that I can drive this thing with my lever manually. The benefit of having the lever is if the electronics fail, we've always got a manual override. I have to be in neutral. However, I have to be in 1 or 2 of these gears. So if I was to operate manual mode in working, it will only be half the speed. And I'm going to show you, as we saw with the dial, if I manually move this all the way, that's full speed forward, it springs back to neutral. It'll spring back, and if I go this way, it's all the way up to full speed reverse in working mode. So what I'm going to get you to do is, if you can go and look at that wheel again while I do this and talk through it, I'm going to go and start in reverse, and I'll slowly go faster. So, and I'll go forward. So the reverse, that's full forward in working mode. I'll swap that to travel mode. And that's full speed in travel. Okay, there's one last thing to talk about with the drives. So if we come back to this, it's the drive remote. Now we'll do that in another video.